to She Plays the Podcast. I am stoked to have Maggie O'Conner on today. Maggie, living in Long Beach, California, played for the Los Angeles Astra in 2022. That's a professional ultimate league or ultimate team in the Western Ultimate League. Currently plays on the SoCal flip side for Club Ultimate. Maggie's been playing competitively since 2018 and is, when not playing, is in the Coast Guard stationed in Long Beach. So Maggie, thanks for joining the podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, that is, well, I mean, after that intro, I think we have to go right to the obvious. You were in the Coast Guard, but also a professional athlete. That is wild.
It's definitely something. It's interesting.
Yeah. How, I mean, you might hate this question, I don't know, but like the balance of it, how does the balance work?
Very hard. I'm finding more balance now, I guess, realizing like who I am more. Mm-hmm. But when I first started playing competitive Frisbee, it was super hard. Before that, I was just like super dedicated. My entire life was like around work and everything. And then I guess I realized like, oh wait, like there's another part of me, and like I don't have to identify just as this one person. Yeah, so sometimes it's really hard, but it's worth it.
Love it. Yeah, gotta be worth it, right? So yeah, I mean, you can just, when you hear of folks who are a professional athlete on top of a full-time career, you gotta love it, right? What is it, if you just had like one thing that you could say of what is it about Ultimate that you can't let go, you know, you just have to keep coming back for more, what would you say it is?
Oh my gosh. I mean, one thing I would have to say community for sure. I think like the community is just so much better than any other sport I've ever played. But yeah, definitely like the competitive drive, the endurance in it. It's just like the most fun part of every single other sport all combined into one.
That's awesome. Love that. Love that. And yeah, I have heard the community aspect of it is a big draw for folks. I have heard that.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's just so accepting and supportive. And like, especially being a queer person, like I never had a queer community before Frisbee. So yeah, for me, like that's the biggest part, I think, is like feeling like there's other people like me.
That's powerful. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge. Well, let's go back and hear how you got into Ultimate in the first place. Tell us about your journey.
Ooh, well, so I grew up playing all the sports, every sport possible. My main sports were football and baseball, which unfortunately, like once you get to high school, girls can't really play that, or it's definitely like looked down on for those two sports. And then freshman year, I ended up in a wheelchair because I broke my arm and my ankle. So I missed all the tryouts for every single sport. But we had a Frisbee club. It wasn't a varsity sport. And so there's no tryouts. And I had an older cousin that played Ultimate Frisbee, and I wanted to be just like him, obviously. Yeah, and so went to a practice, fell in love with it. The next year started a girls team in my high school. Yeah, and then just kind of fell in love with it, took some time off because of work. And then when I moved out to California again, started playing and just fell in love with it head over heels, and just turned it into my life.
That's awesome. So you've been a part of pioneering new teams / leagues since you were in high school.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Western Ultimate had its first year last year.
It did.
Or this year, last season. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what was that like? Again, getting something off the ground and kind of, you know.
Oh man. It was just special. It was incredibly special. Yeah, like definitely there are like some kinks to be worked out for next year, but I think all of the teams in the league are doing an amazing job and getting a head start on that. But yeah, it was it's wild to like think sometimes, or like before a game realize that you know, like 5-year-old Maggie wanted to be here one day and it was just a dream. Yeah, and my sister also plays professional Frisbee. And so growing up, we just like had this dream of being a pro athlete. And then now we're actually living that dream that so many people don't get the chance to do. So special, definitely an honor.
Yeah, I mean, so many emotions coming up just hearing that.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
And your sister, what team does your sister play on?
My sister played for the San Francisco Falcons last year.
Okay.
Yes.
Did y'all play? I mean, you had to play each other, I would imagine.
We did. We played each other the last game. But in 2020, I was on the roster for San Francisco Falcons. So we were going to play together then, but didn't really get the chance to. So hopefully one day.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fun though. And yeah, gosh, to realize a dream at the same time, that's
it's
again
wild.
powerful.
It definitely got you a little emotional every now and then.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and just a quick question, because you said you currently play club. Is Flipside the name of the team, or is that a different type of ultimate?
Flipside is the name of the team. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
so
like,
Frisbee's kind of weird. I guess kind of like soccer in a way, where there's like the club season and then the pro season. And since pro's so new, club is definitely like the heavier season. That a lot of people like invest all their time in. So, but nationals is actually starting in 2 days.
oh,
so
wait.
that'll be wrapped up, and then back to the WUL.
Yeah, I mean, training or tryouts and training camp start soon. I think
Definitely in November. I was getting Slack messages about, and it was like, ooh, back to back, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and so when you moved, did you find a club league to play in? Is that how you then got connected with folks starting the Western Ultimate League?
Yes and no. I mean, I lived in the San Francisco area since 2016. And I moved to LA in 2020. So I was playing Frisbee up in San Francisco competitively. And so for the 2020 season, I was already on the Falcons. But I knew when I moved down to LA, I definitely wanted to build like my own community down south. So the plan was already to play for LA this year before I even moved.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the team?
Yeah, of course. It's I feel like it's an underdog team for sure. LA isn't very known in the Frisbee world as like having like a super strong club team for any gender or mixed. But the colleges in LA produce some of the best players.
Okay.
So it's very interesting. It was just cool to watch like all of these players that don't get the recognition, that don't get TV exposure because they don't play on these like high level club teams. And then they just turn into some of the best players in the entire league. So we were definitely underdogs coming into the season. But yeah, we gave, like club teams like Seattle, San Diego, and San Francisco, where they have such a huge Frisbee community. We definitely gave them a run for their money. And it was fun. It was really cool seeing these players that have never had a chance to like get their name out there, to just like take over the game, and then become like a hot commodity for the season. So yeah, I think that's like my favorite thing about Astra for sure.
Is there a mix of young hotshots in college, I guess, or just coming out of college? And like, is the age difference all across the board?
I think we had a pretty big age gap this past year. Yeah, I think we had people in their upper 30s, and I don't think we had anybody under 21.
Okay.
But definitely some young bloods.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of them were pretty fresh out of college, or at least they were fresh out of college like when the pandemic hit. So they didn't really have a chance to like dip their feet into club right after college. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you got a mix of the experience and then the fresh legs
Definitely
can run all over the place.
Team. It was probably one of my favorite teams I've ever played on.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Really exciting. Well, and what as a team do you think was the sweetest victory from last year? What game?
Ooh, I mean, unfortunately, we only had 2 wins, but 2 of our losses we took into double overtime. It was like sudden death. So as far as victory, I think Well, we won our home game against Utah, so I think for the team itself, that was a pretty sweet victory. But I think my favorite win was against Arizona. But like what felt like the biggest victory was we took San Diego to sudden death, and they won by 1 point. But I think that was pretty big because nobody really expected that. And so like I guess in my heart that felt like a good win.
Yeah, definitely. Well, going further, yeah, taking it to the big dog, going
Exactly. Yeah.
all the way.
They're
That's
kind of
awesome.
like the favorites for the league too.
Well, that's cool. Very sweet.
Definitely.
Yeah, what I'm curious too. I just love learning some of the stuff. So like, you've got like the physical side. It's a lot of running, I think, right? Like a
It's
lot
a
of running.
ton of running.
Yeah. What would you say physically, yeah, like the hardest part, and then mentally the toughest challenge of Ultimate?
Oh, I think physically, I mean, I guess I have to say endurance. Like, I think the WUL games, for some reason, and this felt pretty standard across the board for like everybody that I talked to, but they just felt harder on your body. Like they were longer, the field was bigger, the stall count was 7 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So I feel like because you had to move it so much more, you were moving. Yeah, and so we had quite a few games where players from both teams would cramp up at the very end. Playing like one WUL game the next day, I felt like I just played an entire tournament of like a club season. Yeah, so definitely the endurance, but like the high level endurance where you're sprinting like 80 to 100% for pretty much the entire game. Yeah, keeping it there. And then mentally, it's just like having to stay focused for such a long season. And all the players, like we all have our own careers, we all have our own lives outside of Frisbee. And so you're basically trying to juggle like two different full-time jobs at the same time. Yeah, you got to be locked in. You got to go over strategy meetings during the week. Every single weekend, you're traveling to a different city. If you're not traveling, you're practicing. Yeah, and just staying like mentally keyed in. And I think for me too, something that I sort of struggled with at the end was I felt like because it was the first season and because I felt like the LA community needed for us to do really well in order to like, start this like snowball effect of getting like a high level team in our area. And so I felt like, yeah, there's a lot of pressure from like the outside community in order to succeed, more so than usual, I guess.
Yeah, that's tough. That would definitely weigh on you.
Definitely, yeah.
Were there talks about that as a team at all? Like, was it mentioned, or was it kind of just like, yeah, it's there, but let's not talk about it?
I don't think it was talked about a lot. I think I talked about it after the season with a few people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like before the season even started, like we did talk about how important it was, like for the program, I guess, to continue. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also first official year for a league, I'm sure everyone's feeling that a little bit, like you're trying something new. You want it to last. You want it to be, I think the beauty is and just going out there and doing it. That's the work, right? But there is pressure we put on ourselves of like, it's got to be the best ever. And it's like, it's your one.
Yeah.
It's your one.
Yeah. And I think like that was definitely hard. And like you needed to be like pulled back into that and be reminded like this is the first season, like we're just gonna build and build and build and like keep it going. It's not like a do or die situation for this season. So
yeah. No, that's and just something to build on to for year two, right?
Exactly.
What do you think maybe people don't realize is true about being a pro Ultimate player? Like maybe something that people wouldn't expect, like, do y'all have to buy your own travel? You know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The league paid for a stipend of our travel. So there was definitely a lot of players where we had to pocket out our own money. And yeah, there was a lot of teams where the players were sponsoring their team and investing in your own team, just because like there was not a ton of money like as soon as it's starting up. And so I think that's like the biggest thing, especially people that like don't play Frisbee and like aren't in the community, to like explain like, yes, I'm a professional athlete. No, I don't get paid that much. And yes, I have to pay for my own food, travel, all of that. Yeah, it's definitely something that people don't really fully understand.
Well, and sadly, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Yeah, no, I mean, sadly, that is how a lot of women's leagues start, right? Like, or
Yeah,
non,
definitely.
yeah, like, people don't realize that a lot of men's leagues got, you know, tax subsidies to help get their leagues off the ground, and we just don't see the same baseline investment in women's or non-men's leagues, right? So,
Definitely, yeah.
doesn't make you less of a professional, but showcases a huge opportunity for sponsors to come in, or you know, for fans to find a way to get creative and help leagues grow.
Definitely. That's what was like, oh man, one of my favorite things about like the reason why that it was streamed on YouTube instead of being like on TV and getting that money from TV was like for the accessibility. And so it was just interesting. Like I saw a tweet at the very end of the season, and it was talking about these players in the WUL, like Cody from Arizona made huge plays every single week. And I'm pretty sure like got on ESPN once or twice too. And like there's definitely like tons of women matching players that ended up on ESPN or that ended up on highlight reels all over Instagram and went viral. And it was like, no, these players aren't just playing this well this year. They've always played this well. And this is the first time that you're actually seeing women's Frisbee be highlighted in this way. And that just like sat with me a lot. Like, yeah, what I'm hoping like came out of last season was that I hope sponsors and companies can see like how incredible and how worth it is to like invest in these women players. Like,
Yeah,
we're great. This is an amazing league to watch. Yeah, highlights everywhere. So hopefully they see that.
yeah, no, and also just, you know, kudos to a league that could, you know, help pay with travel and did have a way for people to view games. I mean, there's some leagues that takes years. So
Definitely.
yeah, off on a good start for sure. And
Yeah.
and I think it's something too that you said earlier that I think is so important, and something that does bring such value to each community that y'all have a team in, is the inclusivity piece of Ultimate. Just the more that I talk to people about Ultimate and that community vibe, you know, like it's such an inclusive sport, that you even said, you know, was like hugely impactful to you to feel like they're people like me. I just think that's something that's beautiful, that like kids can come out and see something of like, oh, I feel like I'm kind of like that player. Like, great, there's
Yeah.
someone I can see out on the field doing something that I would like to do.
Yeah, I think I think Ultimate Frisbee is definitely better than like most of the other sports with that and being inclusive. But personally, I think there's a lot of room to grow as far as that. So I'm excited to, the bigger that the WUL gets, like I really hope that we start investing in the community a little bit more. I hope we start like investing more into trans youth and promoting like safe spaces for for them to play sports. So yeah,
definitely, absolutely. Yeah, what are you hoping for year 2 of the Los Angeles Astra?
That's a hard one. We wow, I think the LA area has definitely had a lot of players that have experienced a lot of growth this off season. So I'm really excited to like see yeah, some of the more like college and younger players come up and just kind of take over again. Yeah, we're losing a couple like star names, so that's unfortunate. So I'm just hoping that there's like enough interest and enough growth for Astra. Yeah, that we can still be a very competitive team next year.
Awesome. And real quick, how did the name come about?
What I was told was that it's kind of in correlation to like the stars in like Hollywood, essentially.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, and anyone, I don't know if you could show the logo, anyone who's watching this, it does have stars on it, and we'll put it in the promo picture for this episode. We'll have a logo of the team, but sweet. Well, do you have a little bit of time for a couple of rapid fire questions?
Yeah, of course.
Sweet. Well, I will say, yeah, it was really cool to hear about what you thought was like your sweetest victory. What is your personal favorite memory of playing this past season? Like a play you did, or
a play that I did.
Yeah.
Oof. There was one play in the Seattle game where I caught it over one of the players. And I'm usually like not that confident going deep like that. And so like I think that was like a turning point for me to be like, oh yeah, like I can be confident and I can go deep. I can be a deep threat. So I think like that was kind of one of my favorite plays for me.
Awesome. Okay. What's your favorite warm-up song?
Oh, the riff off in Pitch Perfect 1.
Nice. I've never heard that answer. That's a great answer.
Yeah, my team hates that.
No, it's okay. I'll make you yourself fine. That's great. What's your favorite sports movie ever?
Ooh, I like the original Space Jam a lot. I like Coach Carter, Remember the Titans. Yeah.
Awesome. Favorite Gatorade flavor?
Glacier Freeze 0. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that too.
Oh, but that is a good one. Who is your favorite athlete of all time?
Growing up, it was always Mia Hamm.
Very cool. Awesome. All right. And then this is the one I love to ask because I just always get a wide variety of answers. If you could have free tickets for life for any event, any sporting event that happens either once a year or if it's every 4 years, like the Olympics, but you get free tickets for life, what are you getting them for?
Oh my gosh. Women's World Cup.
Nice.
Definitely.
Coming up next year. Good answer.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the podcast and chatting. Where can folks find you and the Astra? And then if, folks are in the area, if there's any information, if y'all are playing in the same place as last year, kind of where can folks find y'all?
Yeah. I think we're playing around the same area as last year. I don't know what stadium we're going to play at for LA at least. For Astra, you can find us on Instagram, Los Angeles Astra. Myself too, I'm on Instagram, MOC01. There's also the Astra website that y'all can check out, and the Western Ultimate League website and Instagram as well too.
Perfect. Well, we will put all those links in the show notes so everyone, when you're stopping driving or whatever the case may be, go click and follow. It's so important to support young leagues as but just amazing athletes like Maggie and all of your teammates and everything. So really excited for year 2 and what's to come. And yeah, best of luck. And maybe we could check in mid-season, see how things are going.
Yeah, sounds good. I'd love to. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks again.
Mm-hmm.